So much pain, I'm like, when's it gonna stop? So much pain, cause my life's been a lot. So much pain, I'm getting tired of these blocks. I'm in last place right now, but I soon reach the top. So much pain, I'm like, when's it gonna stop? So much pain, cause my life's been...
Welcome back to the Last Place podcast, episode 28. It's been a long time. We've been doing this just over a year now. I think we did the anniversary not too long ago, in terms of like time. But yeah, episode 28. We thought we'd come back with a bang. I know we've been a bit, what's the word? What's the word? We've been here, but you know, our presence hasn't been as frequent as, you know, we'd like it. Obviously, we're still rolling out episodes every month, but just, you know, everything requires a lot of planning and purpose and all of that kind of stuff. But we're back, episode 28. We've got a special guest with us today. We thought we'd come back with a bang. First female guest. Introduce yourself.
Oh, no pressure then. So, hi everyone, I'm Teesha. You may know me as TeeshaTalks.
Perfect. Tycoon, introduce yourself, my bro.
Big Tycoon. Mr. Chestnut Checkers.
Mr.
We're not going nowhere.
All right then. And I'm your other host, Young Double, Sexy Smell Alive, Sexatron, Sexavelli, all of that good stuff. But yo, episode 28. How's everyone's week's been? Teesha, you go first.
So my week has been a combination of working on an upcoming program that I'm creating that will be released on the 28th. So that's why I said, 28th episode, 28th of the month. Nice on the line.
Okay.
Combination of that, work, gym, mum stuff, all of that good stuff. And now I'm here, so nice way to round off the week, sort of work week.
I go talk to him.
Chill, bro. Let's just do my thing, innit?
What does that include?
It's like life.
Oh, okay.
Things of that nature.
So yeah, you finished. That was a very detailed description. Yeah, I've just been chilling as well, man. Just been no work, chilling, just getting stuff off the ground, all of that good stuff. So yeah, man, everything's been pretty chill. Teesha, my good friend, tell them a bit more about yourself.
So where do I start really? So my professional background is mental health coaching. So currently I co-manage a team of essentially people that are coaching in the NHS. And so that's kind of me professionally. Outside of that, I'm sort of building on my brand TeeshaTalks, which exists to sort of normalise the conversation around mental health and well-being. But that's where it initially started, but then it slowly turned into me documenting my fitness journey. So then it turned onto more of like a holistic thing between like physical and mental health. So at the moment, I'm just trying to create something to just put up so that I can further help people. And it's the first thing that I'm selling. So it's the first kind of step towards turning it into a business, I'd say.
That's it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's exciting times, I'm not gonna lie. It's been a long time coming, so.
You see, I didn't know you did like all of that to that extent, which is crazy. Like, is that all out there already, or is like some of that a bit more personal?
No, so do you mean like the release of what's in the pipeline? So I've put the promo out there so people are aware of what it is. So we're just building up to the release. Like I'm gonna do a giveaway at some point this week. So yeah. It's going well. I'm excited.
Yeah, that's proper, man.
Yeah.
So where if they can find all that information on like your Insta or something?
Yeah, so on my Instagram, and then I've got a website link in my bio where people can get like free templates to do accountability, which is what I call like a mental health catch-up accountability, but it's over a cup of tea or coffee, so it's accountability, TEA. Do you know what I mean? So yeah.
What made you want to get into like mental health? Like, or work with mental health? Or?
That is a good question, you know, and the thing is, it stems all the way back, I'd say, from secondary school. So in secondary school, I was a little bit of a rebel, you know. I was a bit of a rebel, but...
Can relate.
Yeah, but what happened is, at that time, you can't really call it a relationship when you're that young, really, but it was something like that. And I was basically seeing somebody that really struggled with his mental health. And off the back of that, because of how he presented, it meant that people were kind of scared of him. And I wasn't, and people didn't understand why I didn't have that fear. But it's because I had an intrigue, and it's because I also had the natural ability to like nurture that situation. So instead of being scared, I'm like researching the symptoms, researching what it could be, and then hearing that it could potentially be this and feeling interested about it. But off the back of me being so close to him and dealing with his struggles, in turn, it had an impact on me, which then meant that because I was a bit of a rebel in school, they decided, okay, you're not really going to talk to teachers because you feel like the teachers don't like you and they're probably treating you unfairly. So they brought someone in from an external organisation. And one thing she said to me was, she showed me like the letter. It said mental health at the top in it. And she was like, don't be scared that it says mental health. I didn't realise it said mental health until she said it. And then I thought, mental health, where you going with mental health? Like, what do you mean mental?
Cliche thing.
Do you know what I'm saying? So I remember when I used to get angry at that time, I used to feel like I just felt a sensation in my hands, like I wanted to hit someone or something. So instead, I'd grab onto my hand like this, like literally like this. And she'd say, do you know that's self-harm? And I'm like, no, it isn't. Because like I don't do things like that. And she's like, yeah, but what you've done there is like you've harmed yourself. And I'm like, no, that's not true. But anyway, we spoke things out for a long time, and off the back of the conversations we had, I said, I want to be her, you know, like I want to be that woman that sits down and talks to people and she just had such an approach with me where I felt comfortable to talk about my emotions, and she really drew that out of me, do you know what I mean? And kind of put me in my place saying, no, that's what it is, like you need to accept it for what it is sort of thing. And the last time I reflected on that story, I realised that like I am now that woman. Yeah, do you know what I mean? And that's mad.
So she definitely had like an aura that you're just like, wow.
Yeah, thank you. Like it's mad. Like even to this day, I think I can't believe that happened for me, and I didn't even realise that I got there. But that's really where it stemmed from, like back in school for me. Yeah.
I think that's so interesting that you say back in school. Cause I don't even think I even know what mental health was in school.
You know, a lot of people didn't, but I feel like there's so many people that probably dealt with it without knowing. So like, I know there's 1,000. The children that are suffering with depression or anxiety, millions even, and it's like they don't know what this feeling is or how to sort of like, because you know in their household it's like mental health probably don't exist. That's what the issue is in a lot of black people, like a lot of black households.
100%.
It's like, oh, you're down, you're in bed, whatever. It's just,
lazy,
get up, man. You're lazy. And the school system as well, especially like trying to fit in, maybe being bullied, your exams, like that's pressure, you know. I felt that since school, bro.
I remember when I was going to do an exams, I had anxiety. I didn't know what it was though. I have a sharp in my chest. And I remember I think I was asking my sister like, what is this? And I remember googling it. And I found out what it was. I'm thinking, what? Like, that all came from exams and that. Your
sister's probably just saying, well, it's no. Oh, it's just
I think she told me what it was. You know, I think she told me what it was.
So a lot of people just like, you just got butterflies when you. You know what I'm saying?
I'm feeling like maths right now. It's not no butterfly.
It's feeling like certain.
Do you know what I mean?
A question I had before, obviously, we was going to record this. I wanted like everyone to just define what mental health is to them, innit? I feel like everyone has their own definition of it.
Yeah, that's true.
What would you define?
I think you guys should start. I want to say, and then you're like, oh yeah, I thought that. It's your question.
I would define it as like I feel like it's more like, obviously there's different not genres, but different
categories.
Yeah, categories of mental health, innit? Yeah. So like we've mentioned two already, like depression, anxiety, and that. Obviously I've got like different definition in it based on my understanding of like life in it. But I would summarize it as like suppressed emotions.
Okay.
Like not like I feel like I feel like my opinion, we only would experience any level of mental health based on your relationship and understanding of your own emotions.
Okay.
So I feel like when you don't have a good relationship with like expressing yourself, understanding your emotions, I feel like you will experience a level of mental health in it. That's how I would define it.
I like that answer though.
This is a
no
this
pressure.
is a,
After that,
I don't know. Like with mental health, my opinion, it is like similar to what you're saying. I feel like it's just something that only you can go through. Obviously, there's people that can help you that are going through similar things, but I feel like nobody's things are the same. I feel like everything, like trigger responses and stuff, everybody's got different ones from like childhood or whatever. So I feel like somebody could have two similar stories, but the person might have been different or with whatever the trauma could have been. So I feel like it's just an emotion, a personal battle that somebody is struggling to overcome. I'd probably say the best is for me.
Yeah, no, I love both of you two's answers. One thing that I would say is, though, you've highlighted the negative sides of mental health. When you think of the word physical health, is that good or bad? It's just physical health. Like, you're either overweight, underweight, good. Like, you know what I mean? Maintaining, bulking, in a deficit, whatever. That's your physical health. You could have an illness, you might not. So that's physical health. So the same thing is with mental health. Like, you could be in a really, really good space. You could be thriving. So you say, my mental health's good. People associate the word mental health with their mindset not being in a good space or them having a mental health diagnosis, when that's not true. So mental health holistically does not mean, like, for example, someone will say, oh, that guy's got mental health, you know. I'm like, yeah, so do you. Like, we've all got the health of our brains. Do you know what I mean? So that's how I would say it's like, it's the health of your mind. So we say, how's your mental health today? Do you know what I mean? Doesn't mean that it's bad when I ask that question. And some people, because the conversations around mental health isn't normalized, then people feel like it's a taboo topic automatically when we're saying, how's your mental health? And it's like, don't ask me, that's personal, what are you doing? Don't ask me that, it's not personal, it's just, we want to normalize it. And that's one of my main things, that I want to make it so comfortable. Like, same way I've walked in today, I could say, oh, you know what, guys, I've got a headache, you know, I'm tired, you know. I want to be able to say, I feel a bit anxious, you know, like I felt a bit low today. Like, we should be able to say that, because the more people that can be openly expressive like that, it saves lives.
100.
Like, do you know how many people have ended their lives or gone to a really low place just off the back of not feeling relatable, when they've struggled in silence, and then, you know, you hear that someone's unfortunately died by suicide, and then you see like the note that they left, and you're thinking, hold on, if you just told me, I would have told you that I felt like that on Sunday as well. 100. And then you could have had that conversation and thought, you know what, me too, man, but let's go do something, let's go do something that we find fun or we find enjoyable, to just shift yourself out of that space. So yeah, in a nutshell, that's what mental health is to me.
You know what's mad? I was gonna say, you set us up, but it was him that asked the question. Because that was the way that went, was like, you asked it, and then we just said the wrong answer. She just knew like what we was gonna do, but
but it wasn't a wrong answer at all. Even to be in this space now, hearing you both having an answer surrounding mental health and not just shying away from the topic, like, that's beautiful to see. So there's no wrong answer really. Like, you gave what your definition is, and when it comes to mental health, like you said, it's personal, so it's whatever that means to you, isn't it really? So
go ahead, buddy.
I would say, like, RIP my friend Declan, innit? He committed suicide, innit? And I felt like at that time, when I heard about it, it was so new to me. It was so new to me. Like, it's just like, I feel like in our community, I feel like there's not, like you're saying it, there's not really like an understanding for like that part of life, if that makes sense. Like, when, like, I feel like within our community, like, if someone's upset or sad, it's just like, deal with it. I don't feel like there's a proper conversation.
100%.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. I think the black community, number one, don't want to deal with emotions. And the thing is, it goes so far back that it's understandable. It's understandable how this happened.
That's scary as well, though.
It is scary.
The reason it's so understandable.
Yeah.
Why would you say it's understandable?
I'd just say from going through so much, like going way back and feeling like you've got no choice other than to be in survival mode. And when you're in survival mode, you don't really have the chance to digest what you're going through, because you're just having to get through the day. And sometimes I say to people, it's not even the day, it's the next half an hour, it's the next 20 minutes, it's the next, but sometimes you can't think so far ahead. So like, I think to be in survival mode, it means you're not giving yourself that chance to like just think about things and how you're going to navigate your feelings. They just kind of get shut off, and that's carried on from generation to generation. And to be honest, being mixed race, I can't even say it's just the black community, because I know that it isn't, but it's heavily rife in the black community or ethnic minorities, and we see it all the time. Working within psychiatric services, sometimes there can be a common denominator of the race or the age group that we get in coming coming in with certain diagnoses, and I believe that sometimes looking at the upbringing or looking at the family dynamics, they always have like a part to play in how the situation's transpired and how someone's landed in that sort of mental health setting.
What would you say is like a common thing that you see?
Definitely drug-induced psychosis, 100%. So people don't realise how drugs impact mental health, and like for me that seems normal, and I'd just assume you'd be like, yeah, of course, but then you look like you're thinking down there, and it's like, yeah, but it's really weed. I don't know if you guys smoke weed, but I'm just putting this out there right now that it's not good.
Yeah, no, I've experienced that.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I've experienced that.
I feel like I've experienced it, and not to say to a level of having psychosis, but a lot of people have probably smoked weed over time, and for me, I get too paranoid. Like, I get way too paranoid, and I just think I said to someone the other day, if I took part in a social experiment and I smoked every day for 2 weeks, trust me, I wouldn't be in the community by the end of those 2 weeks. I just know it, and I don't know if that's coming from my background of where I work, and I've just seen how it's panned out. But there's so many times where I've had conversations with people on the ward, and I feel like, not that I can relate, but I hear where they're coming from, because they're not, but the difference is that they're not high no more, but they're still stuck in that mind space. Say like if you smoke and you're high and you're thinking, what's that noise? Oh, you two talking about me over there, or like you stay in that, and that's a scary place to be in as well.
100.
So imagine having a diagnosis where that's you until you've been nursed out of it and you've been provided with the right medication, and then you leave, but then you still don't leave as a version of yourself that existed prior to the psychotic break. Like you have to learn to become a new version of yourself, or learn how to get back to or close to that version that you once was. And it's not to say you can't be great again. You absolutely can, but it's like you've got to find a new route to get there now, and it's not going to be the same way that you used to before. So, you know, that's something that people should really, really think about, and being on those wards really opened up my eyes to it. So it's scary. It's not something to ramp with, really. So yeah,
I feel like you even just saying that, like the challenge of becoming yourself again, to become yourself again, sounds crazy. Like having to pick yourself back up to become the person you once was is it's scary to man. I've never really thought about it like that to that kind of degree, because if you, let's say a man's smoking weed or something, man's seen people smoked out. Like, we would say weed is probably like the most, you know, common drug. Like people will say it's not a drug, you know, it's herb, it's natural. But they'll say all of this, but the effects that it's had on people is crazy. But they won't realize it, innit?
I'll be honest. You see my experience with weed. You see, when I first started smoking in uni, I don't smoke no more. Like, it's calm. Smoking calm.
You smoked weed?
Yeah, you don't know.
So coming out today.
You don't know.
I don't think I remember you saying I remember you saying you smoked, but I don't like you was a smoker.
No, probably, yeah, I'll say that still. Damn. Yeah, I was smoking in uni innit, for a period of time, and then everything calm. And then when I come back to Brum, smoking again, it just didn't hit the same, and I had 2 bad weed experiences still.
Really?
And then that's when I was like, nah, this is not for me, bro.
But
it's the same sort of psychosis sort of thing that you're talking about. When you're talking about you have to find yourself again, it wasn't that deep for me, but it was more like you just don't feel like yourself when you're going through that bad experience. Yeah. It's a weird thing, but it's what was interesting for me is like there's people that can smoke it all the time, don't affect them. And then for me, when I say don't affect them, I don't mean it doesn't affect them to the extent that it affected me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say? Because like I said, at one point I was calm with it, and then something that's happened and I wasn't calm with it no more.
But I agree with what you're saying. People have a different tolerance, right? But would you say that how it impacted you, that you portrayed that on externally to other people, or was it more like a mental battle that you was going through?
Both.
So it was like on the outside as well.
Yeah.
But you have to think some people could be very high functioning. People are like that. You hear people smoke it all the time, and you see them going to work or not.
Yeah, because there is actually high functioning drug addicts as well. That are on like much harder stuff in it.
Yeah.
And they've got big boy jobs.
Yeah, it's true. And the thing is, people can be high functioning with anything. People can be high functioning with a diagnosis of anxiety. People can be high functioning with diagnosis of depression or alcohol addiction or drug addiction. So people can definitely put a mask on and just firm it and make it seem like everything's okay. But the internal battle you have no idea about. And really and truly, unpopular opinion or not, if you do have an addiction to something like alcohol or drugs, obviously you have an internal battle. Like, that's evident to me, because what are you trying to suppress? What are you trying to run away from? When people are constantly smoking, I believe that they're trying to escape their reality, because when you're high, you go somewhere, and you do. A place where I was always trying to come back from. I was thinking, hold on, I didn't consent to this. Bring me back to earth right now. I'm trying to drink water. I'm trying to eat. Trying to think that I don't feel in control right now. And some people can navigate that though, and they feel like, nah, I know how to navigate this. I am in control. I want to start thinking about this, and I want to get in the zone on creating music or writing, and for some people it does have, obviously there are benefits to it, otherwise people wouldn't do it. But I do feel like people are trying to escape when they do, and that's why when you're trying to find yourself again, it's like, oh my God, I need to do life without this. How am I going to do life without basically my safety blanket now? So it feels very raw, and it feels very open, and it's a struggle for people. So I get it. Don't rush now.
Hit him, buddy. Hit him.
Now, but some people might say, if it helps me, it helps me. And like, some people might look at him and be like, okay, I wanted to kill myself, but now weed helps me to not want to think those
But this is what I was going to say. Like, people, probably, like, a lot of people don't realize what it's doing to them, because they're just so used to the high or the feeling it's giving them in it. So they don't know, like, their insides are probably like crumbling or being destroyed.
But I'm saying in terms of, like, it's hard to tell that person if the weed's helping them to stop weed, if you're not going to give them like a alternative. So some people might be like, like, obviously some people, they get prescribed medication. Some people be like, this is my prescribed medication for my whatever I'm going through. If that makes sense. So it's kind of, I feel like it will be hard to kind of tell someone that does that.
No, you can't. I'm not a big professional. I don't really know if there's an answer. I haven't really seen there be an answer other than someone having the willpower. If you guys are both hard weed smokers and I said, guys, allow it, or someone listening to this podcast now, that's not going to be enough if you're a bona fide weed smoker. Like, it just isn't. What's going to be enough is what happened to you, where you're like, do you know what? I don't like this, what this has done to me, And then that then takes a lot of strength and determination that a lot of people don't have, just based off, like, do I feel capable of doing this? Like, what are your core values in terms of self-belief and confidence that I actually have the power to do this. I know that I can do this. I've done things before. If I can do that, I can do this. So to me, everything always comes back to your core values and beliefs.
100%.
Yeah.
Because
you two are so funny.
you sure? Because I was gonna say, I think that's the reason I don't drink or smoke. I've never smoked in my life. I used to drink when I was younger, but it wasn't to the point where I'd black out or anything. Like, I used to just socially drink. So if everyone was out, I'd get like a JD and Coke or something one of those. Like, I've never been like white boy wasted. But I've always felt like, even when I was down at my lowest point in my life, my lowest points, I always thought I would never, like, it's so easy to pick up smoking or to go drinking, and then that will be man's like way out. And I get it, but I think it's brazy, but it's so easily accessible, and I know it would make me feel better, even if it's temporary. Like, I know it would be temporary, but that's why I've never done it. But I know there's outlets, outlets, but I would never go there because I've seen people smoked out. I've seen drunk people lying on the floor. I worked at a club, but that's
me in my shop.
Many a time, but I get it. Like, people just drinking and just sitting at home, and the pain goes away 6 hours until you throw up and then you go again. I completely hear it. So I see how easy it is as well.
I feel like I was lucky in a sense because I started smoking late and my mindset in it. Like obviously I've gone on my whole personal development journey and I understand the mind in it. So I'm lucky in the sense that I would never even rely on it anyway because like I'm meditating and shit like that. Like I know how my mind works in it. So for me to ever become reliant on a drug, it would only be from a rebellious nature. If that makes sense. Like the nature of I can just do this because I can do it. If that makes sense. Or just do it because I can. Like it's never from it was never from a point where it's like, oh, I need this. Yeah. It's more from a point like I can just, why can't I do it?
I want to highlight as well, just for people listening, that this could be someone's situation, do you know what I mean? And it's been mine, like, I love a drink, I still love a drink. But it's about that self-awareness, isn't it? And it's not always about what you do, it's about how you come back from it. And that's why I keep thinking of what you said, like you went there, you recognised something and you did something about it. And I just want to know like the difference between someone that does do something and that doesn't. And I'm just thinking it must go back to just, addiction is not easy to overcome. It's not something to be taken lightheartedly. I've worked in rehabilitation centres where it's like you've seen people come in for those 30 days or whatever it is, and the progress that's made and then the relapses that happen, and it's always nobody just lands there because they felt like this was such an amazing thing to do and they just did it just because it's funny. Like they did it because they're dealing with something, for me, when I was navigating grief through lockdown, everywhere I turned there was a Magnum. Every bag I opened, Magnum. Every excuse, we're doing the Black Lives Matter protest. Get a Magnum, why not? They're thinking everything's a flipping reason to have a drink. But at the same time, I think during lockdown, a lot of people did, because that's when I started doing the Wave to the Max rum punch at the time. And that got snatched up in an instant. So in my head, I'm like, okay, it's not just me. It's like, Cannon Park, hot day, everyone's drinking. If you ever seen the mess that was left over after one day of people just having a hot day drinking. So I think lockdown definitely encouraged it. And because while I was navigating grief, people are navigating the fact that, oh my God, hold on, like I'm having to deal with my own mental health now because work is a big distraction for a lot of people. Even for myself, I hate being out of routine. Like now I'm in that 9 to 5 regime. Christmas we have off, and I'm always thinking, I can't wait to go back. Like I just need that structure and routine. So for a lot of people, they needed that, and then it was missing, and they couldn't see family anymore. They couldn't do the things that were even a healthy outlet. For example, going to the gym, which is something I discovered later down the line. I wish that I was so invested in my fitness when I was navigating grief, because straight up I would have been like, right, banging the gym now. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm banging these weights, but instead I was banging flipping wine bottles together.
Cheers.
Do you know what I mean? But yeah, it's just one of them ones. With alcohol, I'll say though, as I've got older, the reason why I'm starting to be like, okay, I do like a drink, but I'm not going to drink as much, is because my hangovers are mental now. They're not physical, dying headache. It's my hangovers are solely surrounded by mental health. I've got anxiety. I'm starting to think people hate me for no reason. It's ridiculous. And I can accept that it is anxiety and that it's not true, but it's just a horrible feeling. And that's when I started to realise, when people say they don't drink, sometimes people have deep reasons why they don't drink. It's not just, maybe because they've got a backache and the medication doesn't agree with it or whatever. Sometimes people are fully like, no, it's not good for my mental. So before, whereas I was that friend, like, come on, just have a drink, come on. I respect it now, because I'm now that friend where I'm like, nah, I don't want to go out tonight, or I just want to chill, because I know that I'm going to wake up fresh in the morning. I'm going to be productive. I'm going to do what I need to do, because I can't just brush them hangovers off now. They're lasting about 2-3 days, and it's not
How
good.
much are you drinking?
No, I think it's as you get older.
Nah, it's mad still. It's
The tolerance thing.
Yeah.
Especially if you've been like a drinker as well. Not saying like a drinker more often. But
I think my tolerance has increased over the years, and that's what's made me feel like I can drink more because it's like I can hold it. So while I'm not like wasted, I'm not blacking out, I'm not being sick, I'm not being stupid, but you've drank a lot now and you're probably just talking too much. Like, just relax, just not Teesha Talks every day in the club, like, or in the outside talking to, like, that starts playing on my mind.
Do you tend to do that? Like, when you're drunk, you just like, so tell me a bit about.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, so with that part, I don't mind that. I'll be the mental health coach in the toilets, telling all the girls to just, you know,
mascara down their face and that. Yeah.
I love that, but then it starts me just talking to. Just leave that out. We're not doing that anymore. So
I get what you're saying. So like you'll get to a point, like, let's say the next day you're thinking, what did I tell this person about me? And then you just feel like
literally,
yeah.
That's what it is. And I've noticed that I don't like it, so do something about it. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, but obviously you might see me have a little drink on the weekend, but I've changed my ways. You know what I mean? Having a drink after this, no, joking.
I feel like Maggie.
Oh, yes, Maggie under there. I'm joking.
I feel like a good topic or good thing that we should talk about is like, I feel like, me personally, when people talk about like being prescribed to like medication for like mental health, I feel like that's such a bad thing, because it's like with the drugs in it, like weed, alcohol, you're not really dealing with like the root issue, if that makes sense. So I feel like a lot of people that I've spoke to that are on medication, not a lot of people, but like when I've spoke to people that are on medication, they'll never say that they enjoy being on it. They always say they don't feel like themselves. And I feel like with mental health, because it's not research and people, there's not like a big focus on it, I feel like the prescription to help people is not actually what people need, if that makes sense. I feel like there needs to be more focused on like identifying with certain emotions, how to sit with certain emotions, how to not to react to certain emotions.
Right.
I feel like when you just give people medication, it's doing what weed does and it's doing what alcohol does, if that makes sense. So it's just suppressing it.
Putting a plaster on the situation.
Yeah, it's not really sitting down, and because once that person takes that medication, like, are they just fixed now?
Yeah.
Like, they have to take that for the rest of their life. That's not a way to live life.
So you think that there should be more effort, where it's NHS or whatever, you feel like there should be more effort and like having coaches and people like Teesha that there's more of, that will speak to you about your problems rather than just saying, yeah, take this.
Yeah.
You'll be better in the morning.
Because you see, based on my own experience with my mental health, both positive and negative. But like, yeah, in terms of like, let's say if I've gone through like any form of depression or something like that, how I've come out of that is basically me. Obviously, everyone's diagnosis for them is different, innit? But for me, is sitting with my own emotions, identifying what's going on, how I got into exercise that helped me, understanding my body, my mind more, reading more, meditating, positive thinking. I feel like there's not enough emphasis focused on that side of things.
Right.
I feel like just throw medication at it, but I feel like there's a step-by-step thing, because it's like there's certain habits that can prevent yourself from going down certain roads, if that makes sense. 100%. But a lot of people don't have these habits.
Yeah.
Like, if I speak to someone that has like, that's going through depression, I can instantly see why, if that makes sense. Like, I can instantly see, okay, they might not go gym, the way they speak about themselves, the way they think about life, like the pressure they put on themselves. And like, just the whole aura is just like one that's like you just need to there needs to be some switches that need to go off in their mind. And I feel like there's not enough. Maybe, I don't know, it could be a conspiracy in it as to why there's not enough focus on that.
Right.
I don't know, man. I feel like there's money made from medication, isn't it?
You know, and as well, I feel like besides the medication part as well, a lot of people don't have like friends or people around them to kind of take them out of these places. Oh, and it goes back to the thing where people might not talk as well, so their friends might not know. But there's a lot of people where it's like, I might not know that you're going through something. No, you ain't told me that you're going through something, but I can see it, so I'll be like, Hunter, let's go do something. Or like there's people like that, the kind of hard to come by now, because everyone's kind of just focused on their own thing, which is fair, because there's so much going on in the world right now. Everyone needs to get their money up because of certain living expenses, looking after kids, business. Like, so I get it to a degree, but I feel like nobody's really got the time to kind of talk to their peers or their friends and family to kind of like to that kind of degree.
But that's, for me, that's even a form of medication in a sense, because if you were surrounded by like the right sort of people, just speaking to them, you don't need to do the whole gym, whatever, positive thinking sort of things to help you. Yeah. Just having a positive friend or being around positive people, that can be a medication in a sense to help you out of your situation.
Yeah.
Obviously, it depends on how far the person is as well, innit? Because it's like some people, it's like no matter how much you talk to them, it's like I don't care what you're gonna say, but I'm gonna do it.
Their thought patterns though, innit? Because I feel like for me, when I experienced that level of depression or whatever it was, like there was a consistent period where I was upset or felt sad. But that was self-imposed as I reflected on it. You know, like when man was talking about when I burnt out. And that's when I started the gym journey. Like, just one day I just woke up and I was finished. Like, I just like the emotions that I was feeling. I was like, nah, this ain't right. And obviously, I had to do my own sort of self-reflection to kind of figure out what's going on in it. And I feel like, not saying I've got the answer, but I feel like if I was to just go on medication at that point there and be like, I'm depressed. I would have missed so much of the growth to become the person who I am today. So right now, I feel like I'm not scared of going back to that dark place or going back to
navigate it. I think, right, there's a lot to unpack here about what you guys have just said. First of all, I think when someone goes through something like you have, but then you've had the determination to go on a self-development journey, be self-aware, this is something that I encourage a lot, because when you're self-aware, then you can look out for things that can help you, or you know that certain things aren't going to have this impact on you, or they are going to have this impact on you, what to avoid, what to be proactive with. But a lot of people have not gone on that journey, so it's a lot harder for them. So you are at an advantage when you know yourself. Why do people not want to prioritize getting to know themselves? Because that is a cheat code for everything. You know how to navigate relationships, you know how to navigate your own mental health, you know how to navigate life and what you want and how to get there, because you know yourself. So two people could want, like, have a mutually desired outcome, but they both take different routes because they know themselves and they know what route is going to work best for them. When it comes to medication, so one half of me fully agrees with what you're saying. Through my own experience, after having my daughter, I started to experience postnatal depression. Now, back when I experienced postnatal depression, Instagram wasn't how it was, YouTube wasn't how it was, TikTok probably didn't even exist. So when I typed that into YouTube, one video came up and I was thinking, wow, that's great. Like, I want to hear about how someone's been through it and that it's going to be okay. And I didn't have that. So when I came out on the other side of it, I swore to myself that I'm never going to see someone around me have a baby and not have those mental health conversations and be able to let them know, oh, you feel like this, you feel like this, you feel like this. Yeah, I felt like that too. It's normal. It's just part of becoming a mom. And if you do end up going down the postnatal depression route, it's very common for you to have those thoughts and feelings, and it's going to be okay. I didn't have anyone telling me that it was going to be okay, and that's all I needed. But at the same time, I told the doctors, and they were like, yeah, you can come and pick up this medication on Monday. And then I started researching the medication, and then I was like, no, that sounds scary. I don't want that either. So why was the doctor so quick to say, here you go with pills, but they weren't quick to say, here's a support group for you, here's a counselling referral, here's this. So in the profession that I work in now, the job role that my colleagues do is called Mental Health Connector. My role is Senior Mental Health Connector, and we basically exist in GP surgeries where we get allocations from the doctors that are saying this person's struggling with their mental health. So instead of having a 7-minute conversation where someone gets to say how they're feeling, then the doctor says, okay, that sounds interesting, here's the prescription. We can then spend a good amount of time with them to see, okay, you've got anxiety and depression, okay, but what's led to that? What's the contributing factors that have made this your current situation? Is it because you've become socially isolated? Is it because you're going through family issues? Is it because it's a domestic violence issue? Is it because of your housing situation? And we're looking at all those factors. It could be that they've neglected their hobby since lockdown, and that someone really loves cycling, and then we find them a cycling group. It's not always pointing them to another mental health organisation, but we're really trying to zoom in on, okay, medication is good, but we can do it collaboratively. And the reason why I say medication is good is because you only know what you're exposed to, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I've worked in secondary care services, which means like places like psychiatric hospitals where people need that long-term support for their mental health. And without the medication, people are at danger. They're at danger to themselves, they're at danger to other patients, they're at danger to staff. They're up for 24 hours straight, they're having delusions, they're not thinking, and the medication really just brings them down onto a level where, okay, we can have a normal conversation now. Okay, you're not trying to make another suicide attempt now. You're not trying to attack people. So medication is helpful in certain areas. And I get that if someone takes something, it's not automatically going to take your troubles away. But equally, it can help you to be able to face the day to day. Some people really struggle to get out of bed. Some people struggle to face work, struggle to face parenting for the day or whatever it is. Now, while I agree with you, I don't think it's the full answer because you have to do that self-development journey, but maybe taking the medication helps you to actually want to engage in the things that are going to be useful to you, because otherwise it's like, nah, the support's calling me, I don't even want to answer. I can't even be bothered to even get out of bed today. Can't even. And I've been there where I can't be bothered to get out of bed. I've navigated burnout. Burnout is absolutely disgusting. And that's not even to just plug this whole situation, but that's what I've been working on with the Back to Me in 30 program that I've developed. It's called Back to Me in 30 because it's like, how do I get back to myself in 30 days? So I set myself that challenge to say, I'm navigating burnout. I've lost the desire to do things that I enjoy. I can't be bothered to even do what I need to do, which is the bare minimum. And I just not finding anything funny. You're coming up with depressive symptoms. And I said, nah, forget this. Back to Me in 30. It's the 1st of August. Let's go. We're gonna tunnel vision on wellbeing for the whole of August. And then off the back of it now, I've got a whole program to show for it that can help other people to navigate that as well. So burnout is not something that we're trying to encourage at all. I've been in that space where I've worked myself to the bone, trying to do a million things at once. And I've had to put things on the back burner for my own mental health, because you can't be doing so many things at once without your mental health starting to be in a deficit then. So we've got to listen to our bodies. We've got to know what our triggers are. We've got to know ourselves so we know that, okay, this is going to work for me for probably the next 2 weeks, but then I need to simmer on week 3, because otherwise I am going to start to go on a decline. So yeah, I think medication is good for certain diagnoses and just to help people. And it's really, really good actually, because I have to say that I don't want to sit here and say anything bad about medication, because it really saves lives as well. It really, 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 really saves lives. But at the same time, yeah, we should be trying to actively do other things as well. Don't just take the medication and not be putting the work in at the same time, because we don't want people to aspire to always be on that. It's just to help you to get out of that hole. Now, when you're in a ditch, there's multiple things that can help you. You can have friends and family that can help you to get out of that ditch. You can have medication that can help you to get out of that ditch. You can think about the things that you enjoy and you keep doing it regardless of if you're in a low place or not. Push yourself to do it. Like me with running, absolutely love running. Can I be asked sometimes? No. But you just push yourself. You're never going to feel crap after a workout, are you? I don't think I've ever met anyone that has said, I felt rubbish before my workout, I did it, and I felt worse afterwards. Yeah. I've never met anyone that can say, no, I did. I felt mentally worse. I've never heard that.
Because you know what it is? Like with the whole medication thing, yeah, I feel like when you depend on something that's external, you never... because you know what it is, I feel like, I'm not saying medication is bad, because obviously like you said, some people get to that point where that's the only help in it, but I feel like life is never going to be like what medication might do for the person. It might make them feel like they're always meant to feel good. Life is not, you're not meant to always feel good. You're meant to go through like ups and downs, isn't it? That's the part of navigating life. But I feel like what medication does, especially from a mental health aspect, it gives people like this false reality of this is how you're meant to feel all the time. I don't agree with that. I don't feel like you're meant to feel good all the time. It's okay to feel sad one day. It's okay to feel happy one day. It's okay to have a bit of anxiety. It's okay to navigate these emotions, like we're humans at the end of the day, innit? I feel like what medication doesn't account for is that aspect of what are humans and who are humans, if that makes sense, and not being dependent on something that's external, but focusing on the internal version of you, understanding your mind, understanding your emotions, understanding what triggers, and then working forward from that. You can't take like this like medication and work backwards from medication, in my opinion. I feel like you only can take the root cause, which might be your thinking, and then work forward from that. But I do get it in the aspect of it will save some people's lives in it, because they may be so stuck in their habits and ways that they're not going to listen to anyone that tells them you might have to lighten up, or not lighten up, but think different, start exercising. Medication might be their only, that might be their
kickstart to their
to their journey. That's my opinion, isn't it?
I think nobody's wrong or right, but I do have to say that the medication side of it, like you said initially, you said some people that have said like the medication doesn't make them feel good, so therefore that's demonstrated that medication doesn't just have people on a high all the time and giving them that false sense of security, because it doesn't. And 9 times out of 10 people that are taking it, they probably don't feel happy about the fact that they're taking it. So really what we're trying to do is say, try it. If you're thinking about taking medication, try it, see how it makes you feel, and don't give up on it until it's surpassed that amount of time that the doctor's recommended, because you can start taking it for a week. I think this ain't for me, but the doctors have said you need to take it for 4 weeks to start feeling the impact of it. But I think if you're going to take medication, put the work in at the same time, and then slowly you can start to then decrease the dose, and then eventually you'll be taking nothing. And I follow people that I've witnessed their journey of them saying, this is my journey of weaning myself off sertraline, which is like a mental health medication for like anxiety, depression, and it works, it happens. But this is combined with being willing to put the work in, doing a self-development journey, doing all of that stuff. So I think you're right. Like in my experience as well, I was experiencing something. I chose not to have the medication, and I sorted myself out. I just deeped myself and did it that way. But for some people, that's not enough. Some people don't have that level of insight into their own mental to know how to navigate that. So I think, I
think, you know what it is? Imagine in school if there was like lessons on this, like before like the problem happens, like lessons on meditation, positive thinking, affirmations, like certain things like that. I feel like less people in their adult experience would then need medication.
Probably, yeah.
I feel like if we was to, but then again, that's just getting rid of like a £1 trillion industry though. So
some things are genetic, like some things are biologically take place, chemical imbalances in the brain, things like that.
100%.
But then you've got things like, for example, anxiety and depression. If we just normalise the conversation around that, saying it's okay for you to feel like this, it's okay for you to feel like that. We're speaking about it amongst friends, you're talking about it in class, talking about it on your break, you're messaging after school about it or whatever. You can just be open and transparent. Then that probably could prevent people down the line of things spiralling in silence and in private into something that's like this massive snowball effect now off the back of not feeling like you could articulate that with your friends. So that's why we're trying to normalise this conversation, because it's so healthy. People don't realise how healthy it is and how much strength is actually in being able to talk about your mental health, which brings me nicely actually onto things that I just want to ask yourselves just surrounding mental health, because I don't know if you've ever heard the phrase toxic masculinity. Have you ever heard of that? And it's just like the perception that society puts onto men and the expectations that we have. I've seen parents do it to their young boys. Stop crying, man, you need to man up. What you crying for? You need to grow up to be a man. What? Your son's crying, like show him some love. Don't say, oh, you need to toughen up. Why does he need to toughen up for? Oh, because people are going to bad him up if he looks like someone that's going to cry. Why can't he cry? Why can't you cry? Do you know what I mean? And this stems from parenting. This stems from just being really, 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 really young and having to go through these things. So I just wanted to ask, really, how comfortable have you two both felt like growing up, being able to articulate how you feel about your mental health? Like, have you felt the pressures of that toxic masculinity expectation of you to be like present in a certain way, or that speaking about mental health is associated with weakness? Because it's not, like, if someone speaks about their mental health, I'm saying that makes you strong. Like, you're only going to talk about that if you've got the strength to pull it out of you, because it's heavy. So you need strength to move that conversation, do you know what I mean? So what would you guys say?
I'll go first. I'll go first because you've been going first. I'll say I don't really fight too bad because I don't know. I feel like as an adult now, I've felt more of the kind of experiences because like as a child, teenager, I didn't really. I wouldn't say I didn't really feel it, but it wasn't to the point of like for a particular reason. Like I didn't know, like, you know, in school, I did not know I probably had anxiety, but because I'd always have this weird feeling at school, but I just never liked school and it. But I would only know now. I probably had anxiety like all my years in school and that.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like paranoid, like scared or anything. It was just like like I'd find myself just always like like I'd always do that a lot, but I didn't really. I didn't feel anything I needed to speak about until like my later years when things were. But I've always been quite expressive, so I always speak to people. I've always been a person that will speak to somebody. Good. So it might not be family, so to say, or I might have certain family members I can speak to, but I always tell my brethrens kind of thing. So I never kind of shied away from how I was feeling. I'll tell these man, yo, madam, I'm down bad. I'll say to these man, even to this day, I'll say, man, them, I ain't feeling like myself. Like, and I'll say it, and then one of the other man them might be like, yo, I feel the exact same way, and then we'll talk like that. You get me? I love to hear. Whereas there might be a cliche of like, man, just saying, what's wrong with you? Nothing. Yeah. Like, man will actually be like, yo, I just need a hug. Like that's how man talk, innit? So I don't really. It's never been a kind of thing, and like my household was calm, and there wasn't nobody ever really told me to like man up or anything like that. If anything, there was an issue. My issue was being too soft. Okay. Kind of thing. So I was not like man up soft, but people were like, Shaq, why are you not more? But it's because I never kind of got hit for crying or what you. But that's healthy. Like that's how it's supposed to be. Like you shouldn't be forced to have this certain persona or anything like that. Like that's a healthy example of what it's supposed to be like. So that's good. Love to hear it. Talk to him.
I think my one is a bit. I think it's like. My personality is I don't speak about anything I'm going through because I feel like I can deal with it. You know what I'm trying to say? So I would never show I'm going through anything.
And this is why I call him Batman, because he will literally just like vanish. And I'm like, Hunter, and you're like, yeah, I'm good, I'm calm.
But like, that's my way of dealing with things. Like I could go, like right now, I could be going through the maddest thing. But because I know I can deal with it, I can still operate, if that makes sense. Like it's like, but I feel like that's just probably just like how it probably stems from like growing up in it. Like if I'm going through things, I just have to deal with it. Like you have to deal with it in it. Like in my opinion, like no one's gonna help me. I don't know if that's healthy or not, but like I just have to deal with it in it. Like no one cares. Well, not no one cares. Not no one cares, but not no one cares, but like it's my problem in it at the end of the day.
Why
like,
should anybody else care?
Yeah, like it's my problem, and I feel like I don't know if that's toxic or whatever, but like at the end of the day, life is gonna go on in it. Like I have to deal with this. Like tomorrow's gonna come, the day after tomorrow is gonna come. Like it's gonna come, so let me deal with what I have to deal with. You get me?
So would you say like in childhood that you felt like you wasn't? It's getting a deep one, really. You don't have to answer, but would you say, like, on an emotional level, you didn't feel supported or nurtured in that way? Is that where it kind of derives from, that you feel like, not because you said there, nobody cares, like, you know what I mean?
It's not that nobody, hey, that's deep still.
That's what I'm saying.
It's not that no one cares, but, like, I just felt like my problems have always been unique to me, innit, if that makes sense. But that's I feel like everyone's problems are unique to them, so that's why I would be like, because like one person can say, there might be like, for example, something that someone else is stressing over might be so little to me.
100%.
And like something that I'm stressing over can be so little to someone else. So in that aspect, no one cares in it because. Like,
in the grand scheme of things, you feel like, but that's why I always say everyone's got a plate with shit on it. But people's plates are made out of different things. Like I could have some paper plate from a party. Yours could be like some ceramic one. Yours could
fine
be,
china.
do you know what I mean? Fine china. So like, even though I've only got a small little thing on my plate's gonna go in the bin first because everything's seeping through. I can't manage it. I can't handle it. But then because I could give you the same thing to put on your plate now, and your plate's massive. You've got all the space for all these things, but I've got this little tiny like paper. So like everybody deals with things in a different way, and that's what people need to understand. Like I, for example, will go through something now as a grown adult, and a child could go through something that is so microscopic in the grand scheme of things, but the level of impact that it has on that child is the same impact that my bigger problem would have on me. It would hurt exactly the same. It's like, I don't know, you're having your first heartbreak as a teenager and it cut deep. It felt like the worst thing ever in the world, and that could have really impacted that teenager in the same way that a divorce did for someone that's 45, because that's all they know. So it had the same presentation, it cut the same, just as deep, just through life experiences. It's owing to like what you've been exposed to and your life experience, to how you navigate a situation and how you come back from it, really. So you're right with that, like everybody does have different things, but I think that you should know that for me, I always say to my friends, like, it doesn't matter like if I'm going through something, like you can always still tell me what's going on with you. Like I always try to hold space for that. Now sometimes you have to have boundaries, because like I said, I'm someone that's navigating, never trying to experience burnout like that again, and it happens off the back of sometimes being too available and taking on other people's loads a lot. And I speak a lot about saying, you know, your emotional well-being cup, you can't pour out of a cup that's empty, but then your cup, you'll keep pouring out of it into other people. Do you know what I mean? Until there's nothing left for yourself. So what you have to do is you have to make sure your cup is full to the brim, you know, till it's overflowing all over the table into a little saucer, and you give what falls into that, because you can't be at a deficit for other people. So it's important to remember that, even for myself, because I'm always there for people. You know, I've got TeeshaTalks platform that naturally people come through and want to talk about things, and that's what I love, that's what I'm passionate about. But because I have to have that care package for myself to know, how do I make sure that I'm always okay, that I'm always the best version of myself. And sometimes that's just taking time out and saying, nah, I don't want to answer the phone today, you know.
Just turn it off, innit?
Yeah, D&D. Everyone, my friends know I'm a serial D&D user. My phone don't even ring. You know, when you ring someone twice, now you can't even ring me twice. Like, it's not happening. My phone rang the other day. I was like, what the hell's that noise burning through my ears? I'm not used to having a ringtone. So yeah, I use D&D all the time, because that's self-care to me. Like, I can't have my phone just ringing off all the time. Like, I'd be constantly on it. If I'm not at work, my phone be ringing, I'm answering all the, it's not good.
I think that's with me. Maybe, you know, it's a good question that you asked, you know, 'cause I'm deep in it. Because like, when I'm going through anything, I just like to be by myself. I don't want to be around anyone. But
Become socially isolated.
Yeah, that's just me dealing with what I need to deal with. So like, I just like to be by myself. Like, I don't want to speak. Like, I'll speak to people, but I just want to be by myself.
Yeah, and I think that's good, because some people will say, do you know what? Instead of coming around me with those vibes and that, why don't you just go away? And some people say, I don't want to come around you with my low vibes right now, so I'd rather be over here and just do me for a bit, and then I'll come back around when I'm feeling up again. And I think that's nice, but then sometimes I'm like, nah, like, we go through this together. Like, if you're not feeling good, the time it's going to take you to nurse yourself out of that situation, we could have done that in half the time, because we're doing the things that you like doing, whether you wanted to come or not. We're having laughs, banter, like we're just being around someone that is willing to share those good vibes and energy. Naturally, it's going to rub off on you, isn't it? It's just like being in a room of people with good vibes. Like, whatever vibes you had before you walked in, you're going to feel nourished afterwards. Like, after having, like, we're having a positive mental health conversation right now. So I know when I leave here, I'm going to feel like energized and feel like I'm full of like good vibes, because we've had a healthy, nurturing conversation. So it's all about like the vibes that you're around, and sometimes you can't really isolate yourself for too long wallowing in your own bad vibes, when you could actually put yourself in a better room and have the opportunity to be uplifted.
That's true, you know. I just feel like my thing stems from I don't want to rely on no one.
Yeah. But it's okay to. It's okay to.
Yeah.
It's okay to. Like, what do you think? Like, you've demonstrated throughout your life now that you can do it. You can do it alone. You've proven that to yourself. So if one day you decide to utilize the help that's at hand, do you think that makes you any less than? Like, do you feel that takes away from your value if you do?
I don't have a problem with my ego. I don't have a problem with my ego. Like, I know who I am in it, so I'm not gonna feel like I can't speak about certain things or can't do certain things because it's gonna make me seem less than. I don't care about that. But it's just like I just feel like the way I deal with things works in it, so I don't need to change it.
Well, that's a good point. I can't argue with if that works for you, that's good. But for some people, it doesn't. They'll socially isolate for a long, long time. And then off the back of that, then that breeds like social anxiety. Now you're feeling shifty around people. You don't know how to act in a group setting because you've spent so long just keeping yourself to yourself. Or it then means that you're losing a passion for the things that you were doing before you started to isolate yourself. So if you know that your boundaries are unlocked and you're saying, right, I'm going to give myself this amount of time, and in this amount of time I know that I'll be up at the end of it, and that works for you, then that's great. But like you said, you've been on that journey, you've been on that self-discovery journey where you know what works for you. And I think a lot of people are still trying to work that out, which is fine, because we're always learning, we always have to remain teachable. Like throughout life, we can't just be so rigid in this is how it is and that's how it's going to stay, because that's sort of the issue with the other generation, that they just stick to what they know, and times are changing and they don't want to move with times, and they're just sticking to how their parents were. And I think sometimes they've changed in little ways, and then in turn we've changed in ways. And I think our generation has been so transformational when it comes to just being open about a lot of things. Like, look, I think social media gives people that voice to be like, we're sat here being open about something right now, whereas back in the day we wouldn't see this. We wouldn't see people just having like conversations like this. You just watch TV, and TV is not real. Like even reality TV wasn't even really a thing at one point, where you just see people being raw in their authenticity. Like we didn't get to see that. So now we're like paving the way for the next generation now. But then it's like, do they take it too far with some things as well? Like, are they just
that's the perfect point, because I was gonna say, like, in the role that you're playing right now, in terms of like your job and stuff, are you seeing like a lot more young people coming in, because of like social media and stuff as well?
So
Do you think it's having an effect?
So in the role that I'm doing now, we work from 18 and above, but I'm also roped in on another project which is working with young people aged 16 to 29. Nice to know I'm still considered as a young person. Yeah, a lot of people's things are like social media and like the impacts of social media. And the thing is, it's so much worse for people of that generation because that's all they know. Like, I'm so glad that just as I was leaving school, that's when like BBM first came about. Like that, as I was leaving school, and I always thought if we had this in year 7, it would have been a mess. The broadcasts and the this, that, and the groups and it just would have just added more insult to injury that was already taking place just off having like MySpace and things like that. So yeah, I think social media plays a massive part, and even for older people it does. So you can imagine how influenced young people are, because they're so easily impressionable that it's like I really don't know how we're going to navigate this one. I just don't. But I think what's good about it at the same time is, though, like, if you got a problem on this, you can turn it off, you know. You can delete the apps, you know.
Some people don't know that, though, which is scary. This has caused me always sort of depressed. Like delete that. Like, you can turn it off, you know. Like,
you can literally turn it off, and then, you know, I say this all the time, like with social media, you need it to reflect the things that you want to see. It needs to be like, you know, like your algorithm and your feed, your homepage, that needs to be like your metaphorical vision board. You need to be looking at the things that you want, looking at the things that you associate with as positive things. And if there's anyone that page you click on and you feel like a type of way about yourself or your life or anything, unfollow. I don't care if that's your bona fide friend from school, unfollow, because that doesn't mean that I don't rate you in real life. I'm just saying that I'm putting my mental health first, because let's face it, I said the other day on Instagram, like, why is it that we're literally looking at the feed before we fed ourselves in the morning. So you're literally subconsciously feeding yourself with other people's lives, and depending on who you're following the blog pages, making fun of people, like something bad could happen to someone, everyone's laughing in the comments. Like you're absorbing all of that, like you're literally feeding yourself with all of that information before you've even ate, before you've even
feeding the feed.
Well, you just said thank you for waking up today, man.
And do you know what I mean? Like,
excellent.
this is what I'm saying. So we need to get boundaried up with socials. Like we need to. There was a time where I was saying, why is it that I'm so tapped into social media that it feels weird if I was to turn my phone off till 1 p.m. in the afternoon? 1 p.m. Are you all right? Like you can't survive without your phone until 1 p.m. or you can't turn your phone off for 24 hours. And what people will say off the back of doing that is, it felt so good, you know, to just be like, in reality, like, do you know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with being tapped into like a virtual reality, but there's something wrong with it being the main.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It shouldn't be the main. Like you should be able to just to have conversations in real life, like not be so focused on social media. Now, I love social media because without that, TeeshaTalks wouldn't be where it is today. The platform wouldn't be what it is. I've met so many amazing people through TeeshaTalks, and like even just being sat here today, you know, you've asked me to come off the back of seeing what I post on TeeshaTalks and what I'm about. So I'm really, really grateful for it. But that's because I've nurtured that platform, and that platform is what I want it to look like. And that's why I said to you, like, I don't even use my other account anymore, because I'm saying I post with purpose. I don't just post because, oh, that picture looks fire. What's that doing for me? Like, that's doing nothing. I don't care about who's in my DMs talking rubbish or whatever. Like, people are in my DMs with substance, because let's go for a walk and talk, let's go to the gym, let's go for a coffee, let's do some accountability, let's, do you know what I mean, sisterhood, all of that stuff. Like, I love that, so I can't knock it, but you need to have boundaries with it, man, or it'll just take over.
100%.
So
I think that's one of the most rewarding things, and you know, somebody DMs us with like how they feel about the episode and what we've kind of done for them, kind of thing. So yeah, like that's what we want to see more of. That's what we want to, like. I find myself now just swiping, not like aimlessly anymore either. It's more like if I see something, like I'll just be like, no. And then if I see something positive, like one of my boys is making a beat, or one of my boys got a business, I'll like it, I'll comment it, I'll share it or whatever. But it's so I find myself just scrolling for about 5 minutes and I lock it off, because I'm like, it's so easy to just get caught. I think back to like the drug thing. I think like social media is just as big as a drug as smoking weed or drinking. Yeah,
I think so as well, because a lot of people are very addicted to social media.
Addicted.
I think we all probably are in a wave. No one can say that they can't spend a day. And I've tried to put on like the screen time thing where it locks me out of the app after a certain time, and it really helps me. But like I'll still be like password, but it does naturally. If I just, you know, you aimlessly just go to click Instagram for no reason, and then it'll just be like, need to put in password, but I'll forget it. Like, you need to just find some kind of boundary somewhere, because I think we all obviously do have a level of addiction to social media.
It's designed to be like that.
I
watched a documentary on it. It's actually designed to be like.
Yeah, I believe that.
It sends off certain chemicals in your mind when you get like someone that likes your photo. Like, it's designed to make you addicted. Like, TikTok's the worst one.
TikTok. I don't watch TV anymore, because I think I just open TikTok and then that's me, like bedtime. I'm watching TikTok like it's TV. It's wild, like it's absolutely insane.
Crazy. Because imagine if the algorithm's adjusting to what you like.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. It's doing it on purpose. Yeah. I was just thinking that, like, the algorithm's like, oh, this will keep them intrigued, this will keep them watching, this will keep them this. So yeah, I think obviously it's all, you know, connected. It's all on purpose, isn't it? But I do love a bit of social media, but
social media we definitely need some sort of like law. Like, I don't think kids shouldn't be allowed on there, bro. No. I feel like if you're under 16, you shouldn't be allowed TikTok.
I feel like we're yet to see the effects of it in terms of like from a mental health side of things.
I feel like it's obvious right now.
No, it's true.
I feel like in terms of like you said, I feel like the whole mental health thing is like quadrupled because of socials, seeing somebody's life, how they're living, trying to be a particular person. I feel like this generation is like a mess.
It is. Because I think as well, there's people that if they just come off socials, they be who they want to be more. Because people are posting what they think people are going to like so that they like the picture. And they're sharing like one fraction of their life, and then it creates a certain image online about that person, and it's not necessarily true. And I'm always saying, like, if you're someone that's open and expressive about your truth, don't be comparing yourself to people that aren't openly expressive, because you don't know what these people are going through outside of that nice picture that you like, or that restaurant, or whatever it is that you're looking at thinking, I wish that I could be doing that. And it's like, yeah, but you don't know. You're happy, like you're being expressive, you're content within yourself. You don't know what's going on with those people that you're comparing yourself to. And I just think that the comparison is the biggest thief of joy, isn't it? Like, you're watching people. I remember when my daughter was a lot younger and I hadn't been on holiday for years, and I booked like 2 holidays that year, one with my daughter, one with my friends, and I felt so accomplished that like I was able to do that. And then I went on Facebook at the time and I seen someone post this thing where they listed like the 5 holidays that they're going to be going on that year. And immediately I felt like zapped of like how proud I felt of like those 2 holidays that I was going on, comparing it to like the 5 that she had planned. And I was thinking, but if you didn't see that, you wouldn't have then started to like, 100%. Do you know what I mean? And what I was doing was something to be proud of, and I shouldn't have allowed that myself to feel like, you know, upset that then, well, someone's doing more than me, or someone's doing, like, you can't think like that. You got a ton of vision on yourself. You got to believe in your source. You just got to do you. And that's the best thing anyone could ever do. Don't try and be someone else. Like, people will love you for the fact that you are being yourself. And that's what sets you different from the rest, isn't it?
People will hate you as well for being yourself, because they can't be themselves. So.
Yeah, and that does happen. Yeah, people struggle to be raw and be their real authentic self, because that takes work that a lot of people aren't willing to do. So because of that, then you might get people that feel a type of way towards you, because it's like, I wish that I could be like that. But you can be like that. You just got to be willing to put the work in. Like with anything that you've got in this life, you don't just get it handed to you. You got to work for it. So...
Big facts. Big facts.
Big facts.
So, what would you say? Would you say mental health? So, what, like, statistic-wise? I don't know if you can bring up some statistics. So, like, in like men and women, who's it more prominent in?
So, in terms of men and women, I would say what I do know is the suicide rates are more prevalent amongst men than they are women. So, would you be able to say why you think that is?
Yeah, because men, like, men are not trying to chat in it, and I feel like girls, well, not all, girls, but like, if majority of the time, if a girl has a problem, like, she'll get the support, if that makes sense. Like, be like, you can cry, it's okay, blah blah blah. With men, it's just like, it's got to deal with it.
It's that toxic masculinity thing we was talking about before, isn't it?
It is.
Feeling like there's no sort of like outlet or way out. I just got to deal with this. But when you're dealing with it by yourself, or the only way you kind of know how, it just festers inside your mind, isn't it? Like,
and I think with men, it's a lot more final. Like, it's a lot more black and white. Like, if that decision is made, that's what's going to happen. That's what I'm going to do. And with women, if a woman's feeling low, she'll be a lot more expressive about it. Women are the ones that will be taking down WhatsApp pictures and all that, and then you'll know something's going. Where's your display picture gone? Or you know that your friend's going through it. It's a lot more obvious with women when they're going through something. So, and you've got women that are more open to when they're really, really struggling. I guess this is more going back to like working in psychiatric services, where women are a lot more open with like self-harming and things like that, where you know that they're going through it and that lead up to wanting to do it. Whereas men, it's very like someone could be presenting as fine, and then next thing you know, you hear that they're gone. And it's because they didn't have an outlet, or they didn't know how to articulate their feelings. And then, like you said, off the back of being more open about your emotions, it gives people more chance to help you. So, you know, if a girl says she's going through it, and then someone says, I know this counselling service, and then there's been so many times I've tried to recommend counselling to guys, and they're like, nah, I'm not doing that. I'm doing that for associating it with being feminine or things like that. And it's not. I don't understand why that's drilled so much into people, that it's feminine, that if you do this, if you want to better yourself, really, it's just you trying to better yourself. It doesn't take anything away from someone's masculinity. And I think, to me, like, masculinity isn't loud anyway. Like, if someone's just loud with it, and it's like, okay, like, projection. Like, if someone's comfortable and secure in their masculinity, I feel like you can do things that can be deemed as feminine, because you know you're comfortable in yourself, and you don't care what other people think, because you know yourself. So toxic masculinity, it's toxic. Like, I just thought, if I had a son, I'm telling you now, like, none of those things would be running. I would not be saying, oh, you need to make sure this. And maybe dads are more different with it, but I guess as a mum, like, but then you've got the whole fact of when mums are single mothers, then that's why they then start to overcompensate in being like, you need to toughen up. Maybe out of being paranoid that you've only got me to look up to as a woman, and then you don't want,
That's interesting. 'Cause I feel like how I would raise my son versus how I would raise my daughter would be completely different.
Yeah.
Completely different.
I feel like it would be completely different naturally, innit? But it's just kind of like the extreme of,
like, my son would think I love my daughter more.
My God.
I swear down. Like, he'd think I love my daughter more.
Why?
But I would feel like that's how he needs to be, in it, based on my own experiences of life.
But would you say that throughout your own experiences of life, because when do you have any kids?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Whoa. I'm joking. That was a long ass pause, boy. I was like, what?
No, I'm saying, because when you become a parent, there's a lot of reflections that you do naturally, and you sort of learn from your own childhood experiences and your own upbringing, and essentially you want to use that as experience to then do better and carve, like, your way of being a parent, in thinking, okay, how was I raised, and what have my parents done that I really think was good, and what leaves do I want to take out of their book, but then also, what do I want to recreate, what do I want to do better in? And then that's sort of what shapes you as a parent. So sometimes that's the problem that we have with our parents sometimes, is that they're trying to give us their experience that they had, and then it's like, oh, well, back in the day I didn't have this, or I had to go through this, and then you'll say, yeah, but you should have ran so that I can walk. Like, I work as hard as I do now because I don't want my child to ever know about me saying, oh, I can't afford it, or I can't do this. Like, I just want to know that it's just that, like, you just got it. I don't need to think twice. Now, like, parents that go through struggles and this and that, and that's fine, and it's not a problem. But as a parent myself, I want to do the best that I can to make sure that certain things I experience that I just don't want to happen for my child. And that's not like a knock to my mom or anything like that. You just grow through what you go through, and you want to be the best parent that you can be, because you want your child to be the best person that they can be. But I do think, like, that generation, they just think like, oh, I went through it, so what's the problem? Like, why can't you go through it?
I think what would make it completely different between my son and my daughter is based on what you're saying. I feel like a lot of the time the world is different for women and men in it, and I feel like a woman's navigation through life is different than a man's navigation through life. And I feel like, for me personally, I know if I was to make it difficult for my son, I know I am better preparing him for the world as a man in it. Whereas with my daughter, I don't need to do that, if that makes sense, based on my own experience. Like, and I know that, so that's why I would make it like black and white different, because like, that's just how the world is, in my opinion.
I think, like, there's certain values that you want to teach your children, aren't there? Like, there's just certain values. Like, for example, if you want them to be good with money, you want to make sure they've got what they've got, but you want to make sure they understand the value of money. So therefore, sometimes it could be difficult for them, because it's like, you got to last on that, knowing that you got that money aside for them anyway. But I don't think we should say and make it difficult for our sons. You can educate them about the real. Read the small print to them. Don't just be giving this tough love and not explaining why I'm doing this or why I'm acting like this. And I think that's the point sometimes, that people aren't explaining the why to their children. So, like, you can discipline your child, right? Or if I discipline my daughter, or if I've shouted or whatever, And then I say, do you know why I shouted then? I'll be like, because I got scared. Like, if she'd gone missing in the shop, I'm like, wow, what'd you do? And I'm like, no, I'm sorry for shouting, but I just got scared. Like, that's it. I didn't mean to scare you, but I was scared. That's why I was acting frantic like that. Whereas my mum would have never said that she was shouting because she got scared. Do you know what I mean? But it's like, it's just having that emotional intelligence and being able to articulate it to your children, because we don't want to be the reasons as to why then our children are growing up and they're in therapy. Like, we don't want to be the reason as to, I don't want my daughter to be sat there in her therapy sessions using them all on me, talking about my mum this and my mum that. I don't want that. Like, that would be my worst nightmare. So we can only try our best. Like,
100%.
do you know what I'm saying? So
I feel like we'll have more of an idea when we actually have kids.
right, yeah.
So we'll
There's certain things I'm set on though.
Yeah.
You know what it is
Certain things I'm
though?
set on.
There's certain things that you say that you're set on, but
Yeah.
until you have the youth and you see the youth's face and like, you're like, I could never do that.
Okay, one thing I'm definitely set on, like, my son has to like know how to fight. Like, he'll be doing that from a young age.
Okay.
So you put him in like martial arts or something?
Yeah,
like
that's something I'm set on.
that? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't change on that.
Yeah.
I think it's good to be able to learn how to handle yourself though, like in a humble way as well. Like, you've got people that I'd never want my daughter to grow up as a bully, but you know, when you look, it's black and white sometimes. Like, you either get people trying to bad you up or you're badding people up when you're young. But then I'm saying that I want her to have that in between though. I want people to know. Or maybe they don't know, but if you want to find out, you find out. But don't, do you know what I mean? I don't want her to go around being that person that's like picking fights with people and all that, because I've met those type of girls when I was younger and they're not nice.
Yeah.
If you're not that girl that's seen as bad or whatever, then they're gonna come for you just because. So really, if you're in that position, fine, but just know how to handle yourself when it comes down to it. That's what I'd say.
Mental health talks with your kids as well, very important.
100%.
You got to teach them what mental health is, because man didn't know what that was. We didn't get taught that in school, did we?
I had anxiety when I was young, bad. I was scared to go to the toilet for some reason. I don't know why.
You know what's mad? Like, when I was a kid and that, I wouldn't go on buses.
Really?
I wouldn't go on buses. Not because I was scared to go on a bus, but I was just thinking, yeah, like, why am I going on? Like, I just wouldn't go on buses. I don't know what it was. I just wouldn't go on a bus, bro.
You're shook at the buses.
Yeah,
then?
like obviously I go on a bus with my family, but you know, like, as a kid,
Yeah.
I wouldn't go, like, if my mom said meet me in town and I'd be like, nah, I'm good. Like, I started feeling mad and that. My body would start tingling and that. Like, I wasn't scared to jump on the bus, but I just don't know.
Had that anxiety about it.
Yeah, like, I don't know if it's traveling alone or whatnot, but I wouldn't go on a bus and that.
That's common though. Like, that is common. Like, that's the sort of support that we'd offer to young people as well. Like, travel training support, like how to get from A to B. And sometimes it's overthinking. Like,
laughing at me.
This is not what we're trying to advocate for right now. But it could be the anxiety of not knowing where to get off the bus or how long. Why are you laughing?
The whole episode, isn't it? Scrap the whole episode.
He's been holding that in for the past hour, you know, I reckon.
Oh, don't make me laugh, but facts though, because I just be like, my mom like, come with me. But I'm like 14, 15, come and meet me in town. I'm like, nah, all right.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Nah, it's true. It's really, really common. It's really, really common in young people, especially, and people don't know how to navigate it. And that's what I speak about it with my daughter all the time. What it means to have anxiety, knowing how to navigate it, what to do when you're feeling anxious, like how to have that conversation when you're in the moment, because that's really hard for people that are struggling. That if you're feeling anxious in that time, she can't tell me, but I'm saying, what are your triggers? Like, what are your warning signs? That's when you need to say, Mum, I'm not feeling good. You can't tell me really when you're like neck deep in that anxiety. So it's understanding that lead up to it and how you've got there. So it's so important for them to know from a young age. And I've been having these conversations with her since she was about 7.
That's what I was gonna say, but because that's your kind of thing, innit?
And that's why I feel like it's important to, because if you didn't go for your challenges, you wouldn't learn to and have those experiences where you can now teach your daughter. That's why I feel like sometimes I always say it's different for men and women in it, but I feel like I wouldn't protect my son from going through certain challenges because it will make him a better man in a sense. I don't know, but that's what I believe in.
Have you just took a disgusting picture of me?
No. It was a great picture.
But yeah, that's just, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it's important to normalise this conversation amongst men, and it needs to start from a young age. So the same principle as to why I appreciate working in primary care, which is like the first level of intervention when it comes to mental health, is the same principle as why I think it's important for young people as well, because it's like prevention is better than cure. Like, I've worked in those services where people are in the thick of their mental health, and it's got to a point where it's going to take a lot of rehabilitation to get people into a space where they're ready to live back in the community again. So now I'm more passionate about not them having to learn off that experience, but learn off what I'm telling you about me working there and what I've seen, and how you don't want to really keep going down the route you're going down if you don't want to end up in that sort of setting. Now, nobody wants to end up there. It's not, no one's there by choice, but there's definitely things we can choose to do when we're going through something to prevent things from escalating. So,
and it's so easy to get there as well.
Very easy to get there. I've seen it happen multiple times.
I got something then on a more of a lighter note, like how, or if anyone's gone through any like mental health on a negative side of things, like what are some of the things that you've done to help you get out of that space?
I was going to ask you that as well.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's always important for people to think like what's in their toolbox and things like that. For me, journaling was massive for me, because there's some things that you go through in life, especially at the time, where I didn't feel like I had that many people to turn to, or that I felt comfortable to turn to about specific topics that I was going through at the time. So I just had this burning desire to go and get a diary, a journal, notepad, and I spent ages trying to pick the right one. And then I thought to myself, I don't even know what to write, and this is what I always say, just put the pen to paper and the rest will just flow. And I ended up probably writing about 5 pages back to back of everything that was on my mind, and I felt lighter afterwards because I felt like I was able to make sense of things on paper as well, because sometimes when things are going around your mind, it doesn't make sense until you get it out. And if you're not having that conversation with somebody, you can actually have it with yourself on paper. So journaling definitely really, really helps me. And knowing that I've got that support network, like I'm so grateful that I do have people that I can turn to and be really open and transparent about my experiences. So just knowing that I've got that support network there, if I'm feeling the type of way, I can say it and it is what it is. And, you know, I will be nurtured in that way because I'm able to tell my friends how they can support me. And I think everyone should do that. Like, let your friends know when you're feeling low, when you're feeling anxious, when you're feeling whatever, how can I best support you? How can I be a good friend to you? Because some people just don't know. And then that's why then you're not getting the support, because they didn't know how to support you, because you didn't tell them, because they're not mind readers. It's not because they didn't care, they just didn't know what to do. And especially for me, who comes from a mental health background, sometimes friends are thinking, what could I possibly tell Teesha that she don't already know?
Yeah,
and it's like, nah, but it's not about having like these theories or these counselling techniques. Just talk to me, just ask me how I'm doing. So support network definitely, and just thinking about what I'm passionate about and doing it anyway. Like if I'm low and I can't be bothered to go gym anyway, go running anyway, go and meet up with a friend anyway. So support network, having a passion, and journaling, I'd definitely say for me.
Short and sweet. 3. My lines will be 3, innit?
Yeah, go on, you go.
Oh. I'd say talking. It's always good to talk. And in the talking category as well, I'd put like just being nice in it. You don't know what anyone's going through, so just always just don't even think, oh, what's my man on again? But you can we never know what people are dealing with again in it, like I was saying. But always good to talk. For me personally, I'd probably say like gaming. Gaming helped me a lot. It's just something to put in your mind. It's like going gym or what, like. I feel like it's better because, you know, sometimes you don't always feel like going outside. So that was just something for me to keep my mind occupied indoors. So a lot of people don't have hobbies like that. Like people don't, like, there's not a lot of hobbies that you can do inside. There's a lot, but there's a lot more that you can do outside in it. Yeah. Unless you got like a gym or something in your house kind of thing. But gaming for me, talking, gym as well. I'd say gym, exercise. I go gym sometimes, but I'd say gym. I feel like in my prime, I feel like when things were really bad for me, I went gym. I think when I found gym, that was when I was my one.
Like this.
when I first started gym, life was crazy for me, but I was just hitting gym like every day, twice a day, because it's like, why am I gonna stay in my house? I could go kind of thing, but
no, I think that's good.
You know, obviously, you can tell I'm a bit smaller. life's good, you know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, back when things were like really bad for me, I tend to go gym so much, twice a day, just to even just get out and talk, bro. Like me and you would be in the gym for 4 hours,
and
we'd do 3 exercises, but you know what I'm saying? Like we'd just be in there from 9 p.m. till 1 a.m. Had work the next day, all of that, but because man enjoyed that time so much, it wasn't even just gym, and it was like the talking aspect as well, the social aspect.
What about music? Making
music as well. Yeah. But
you can class as gaming.
Yeah, like I'll put it in the category of like just sort of like media or something. Just being at home, like my computer, so to say. Hit that. Your turn.
I'd say recently, obviously, gratitude for me. Innit? I feel like obviously I've been doing it, but I've been doing it different now. So I feel like the more I focus on the things I have, is the less I'd find myself in a, like if I'm going through anything, there's always something else I can look at that I have in it to make what I'm going through seem as not as a big deal as it is. It's just gratitude, gratefulness. I'd say gym, exercise, fitness, like boxing or whatever. That helps me a lot still, I can't lie. That helps me a lot. And third one. 100% linking up with the man them. 100%. Obviously the man them won't know what I'm going through in it, but sometimes just that linking up with the man them and having a real conversation. 100,000,000% helps, man. Still.
You see what it is with you and that one there? I can tell when you're off, you know. So that's when I'll be like, Hunter, come out. Because you'll be like, nah. When they'll be like, Hunter, we're outside there, nah. But then a lot of the time, like 80% of the time, I can probably get him out because I'm like, come out. You know what I'm saying? I can always kind of tell a little bit. I'm like, bro, just. And you're like, I see what I'm feeling. But sometimes you don't come, sometimes you come in it. But that's what I'm saying. It's just that support system where you just need that person to just probably just say, just come, bro. Like, just, and you're like, frig it, come. Kind of thing.
But obviously not everyone has that in it. But I'm saying if you do have that, just be appreciative that you've got.
1,000%.
Because sometimes it's not even like, man don't have to have a conversation with man, just like their presence and just like doing fun shit. Like man just enjoy that because it just takes my mind off everything in it. And like, not saying like there's mad thing going on, but like it just takes my mind off. And like man's just enjoying life.
It just gets you outside of your own head sometimes. So just
laughing, busting joke, chatting shit.
It's
like it's fun.
That's good.
It's a good look at these stresses though. What you saying now? You say wrap this up?
I think that's a good.
We got like an hour and a half. But you know it's mad, Tisha. We could do this.
We could do this for hours. Like
we're gonna have to do a part 2.
We could do a part 2.
We're gonna have to do a part 2.
I mean, if there's anything else you want to add.
Nah, I think that's it from me, to be honest. I think, I didn't even realize, I'd seen the numbers, but I wasn't even clocking that's how long we've been talking for, so.
Plug your socials quickly. I don't think we did that at the beginning.
So literally just Instagram at TeeshaTalks. That's where you find me.
Spell that.
Wait, can I do it again?
Okay.
So just TEESHA Talks.
And what's that on Instagram?
Instagram. My main is Instagram.
You're on TikTok or no?
I've got TikTok, but I'm still trying to feel my feels on TikTok.
Get whatever you post on Instagram on TikTok.
That's you've been good on TikTok still.
That's basically what I'm doing, but Instagram's what's got my heart because that's where the people are that I'm connected with and that I speak to and all of that. So obviously TikTok's a different crowd that I'm not integrated in with properly.
You'd be good on TikTok.
Real good.
I do like TikTok, but it's just a bit annoying sometimes because it's like I could be talking the real and it's not reaching the audience that it needs to.
But it will. You just have to keep persisting.
And I'll be doing up struppiness and it goes viral. And I'm just like, TikTok's one of them ones, like it can make anyone go viral. You don't even need to be of substance, whereas I could that same video off TikTok I put on Instagram, and it's got the engagement because I've got my community on there. Do you know what I mean? But I will keep at it.
Never focus on the numbers though.
Yeah,
all you need is that one person.
Do you know what it is? I agree. I've never been focused on the numbers, but I like if when I post on Instagram, I feel like it's making a difference because of the fact that I'm able to have conversations with people who then come to me and they want to talk about this topic or that topic that's been raised. But I agree. I've always said that from the very beginning, that even if this just helps one person, then I'm happy, because I've touched on some really deep topics. Now, because of the nature of those topics, people aren't going to be in the comments. I'll be sat talking about intrusive thoughts. Intrusive thoughts is horrible, disgusting, nasty. People aren't going to be like, oh, me too. But then they'll come up to me and they'll say in the club, oh, you TeeshaTalks, that intrusive thoughts video, man, like that saved me, do you know what I mean? And I'm saying, this is why I don't care about who's in the likes or whatever, because some people are not trying to be seen in those likes sometimes,
100,
just because of what we're talking about. So I agree with you, but TikTok just feels a bit like pointless sometimes. But I get it. It's just, you just get that one video that bangs, and you just gotta keep mashing up your things, keep consistent with what you're putting out. So yeah.
No facts. You got anything to say, bro?
No, good things. Take care of yourself. Man.
Take care of yourself. Look after your mental. Speak to people.
Don't be like me.
You learn it, man. But talk to people. Find outlets, I guess, but try to stay away from the ones that we kind of discussed today. I mean, if it's for you, it's for you, I guess. But try to find something that you can sort of own into like a hobby or something. I'd say probably more.
Zoom into what you're passionate about, even if you don't feel like you can be bothered. Just don't neglect those things that you love doing, and just be open and transparent about how you're feeling, even if it's just to one person.
100% practice gratitude as well.
Yes, gratitude is a must.
100%. Because you only add to what you have. If you're not grateful about what you have, you're taking away from what you have. I
agree. I think if you don't express gratitude, you're basically putting a message out to say, I don't care if I lose this. So anything that I'm grateful for, I'll be listing it off, because I'm saying I want to keep this, I want this to multiply. Like, I love and value these people. So yeah, gratitude is everything, man.
So yeah, episode 20. Are you sure this was 28? Was the last one 27?
This is 28.
Okay, just double checking. I know you're
you see, because man's always doing the clips. Man's always in his head, isn't it? Episode 28 of the Last Place podcast. Been a pleasure. Tisha, thank you again for coming. I don't know if you're gonna
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Now we're gonna run this back up. All right. So yeah, episode 28 of the Last Place podcast. We'll see you guys soon. Peace.